Hello everyone, welcome to another day in Shroud of the Avatar. Here we are, our new character, Darth Vader. We're in Solace Bridge outskirts, where we finished our last little video on gathering or harvesting in the game. Now, whilst you've been playing the game, you've been playing with what's called a fixed deck. So it's a deck with just one group of tiles or cards in them. So you had to click on an action and then you couldn't do the action again until it cycled round. This you might be finding a bit limited in the game, so there are other types of decks that are available in the game. Now, we unlocked them earlier on when we talked to one of the trainers. So we talked to one of the trainers and he gave us an option to unlock combat decks. So how do we get to combat decks? You actually either hit the Y key or use the menu and select combat decks. You'll only have the one deck in there. If you take the archer path, it will be called Ranger, and if you start off with swords or something like that, it would be a different name deck, but you would have one, which is the deck you have down here. Which, if we look at the deck, we can see that all the tiles are down here and they're locked in place, and that's what's called a fixed deck. Now, to create a deck, if you click New Deck, then you have all of these tiles over here. If you want to put something down here and fix it in place, you can. So we'll put the healing one down there, and we'll put the light one down there. So those will remain in those slots. Now, to create a random deck, all we have to do is drag and drop tiles in here. So if I just put a few in, now you'll notice that there is a number on this side that you need 15 tiles. We've only got 3 in there. So what we will do is we will just put in a few more tiles and then we'll explain about that. Just going to put these in here. So we've got about 50%. Now if I say this deck is done, it says there's 6 slugs. Now what is a slug, you may ask? So we do done, and then we're going to equip the deck. Now when we go into combat, that deck will now come up. You'll see the tiles coming up randomly, and they will slowly vanish. Now slugs are these tiles which we can't use, so that is what a slug is. Now some things you can do with this deck is you can stack tiles on top of each other. That makes it a stronger ability. So when you actually do that ability, it will be a little bit stronger. And you can stack them the amount of tiles that you have, and you get more tiles as you train. With one ability, you get more tiles as you go through the game. You get slightly more. Now, how do we overcome the slugs? We need to put enough cards in the deck. So let's come out of combat. Wait for it to cycle out of combat. There we go. And we can modify the deck again. If we put more items in, then we will actually get the deck full. But what I've done is I've created my first deck and put that one, modify that one, because I need to find another 4 tiles to go in. Now if you look, you can see how many tiles you've got of each type. So we've got 3 of that one, we've only got 1 in, so we can put a couple of those in. And I was just trying to think what we had in there to make the deck up. It doesn't really matter. I'll put a couple of the dash ones in. And now I have a full deck, 15. As you gain experience, you will be required to carry more cards in your deck as well. So now if we click done, and my first deck is equipped. To equip a deck, you just make certain that it's equipped. You also have an alternative deck, which you can set at any point, and that will appear down here. I'll leave that one. So now we've got an equipped deck and an alternative deck. Now if we go into combat again, we can see that our tiles are coming up. If we get any the same, we can easily stack them together. So we could actually now have 3 in that one, making it a much stronger ability. After a while, if they're not used, the tiles will slowly drain out and then refresh. You can see that there are no slugs. Also, you can see the ones that are fixed are still fixed, so if there is something that you want to train up or something that you'd like to have available all the time, you can fix them as fixed tiles. You can have more cards in than what it states, so it states 15, we could put 20 tiles in, but then the chance, of course, of the tiles coming up will be a lot less. Also, when you use this type of tiling system, this type of deck system, you'll use less pooled focused whilst you're training. So let's just, the other thing was we had the alternative deck, so if you had 2 types of decks and you wanted to create one for close combat and one for ranged combat, you know, you can easily set up your ability to change your decks whilst you're actually fighting. So there we go, back to our standard fixed deck, but that could be any type of deck you want it to be. So there we go, back into our deck, come out combat, and we'll just go back to the decks again. If you do find you want to delete a deck because you're no longer using it, or you don't like it anymore, you can always make certain it's highlighted and delete, and then you gain a deck. You can have around about 6 decks, I believe, in the game, so you can have them for specialist areas or something like that. So that's a quick overview of the decks building system. Now if we go in to combat, we can see how the deck card system works. I'll just go up. If we go, we'll just go up here to do some combat with our new tiling or card system. We can see how it actually works in actual combat. So I'm just going to go up into this area because we know that there's some skeletons and some zombies, and there are a few more combat situations a little bit further up if they don't initiate. Depends what other players are in the area, of course. When you want something to happen, of course nothing wants to happen. So this final area up here, which we've not come into before. Thought I heard something. There's an archer. So now we're in our tiled combat system. You can see the tiles coming up, so I'm just going to use this one and tile these up, bar these off, and you can use a gust. But you can only use the tiles as they come up. So if we put 2 of those gusts together, that'll make it a much stronger ability. As I say, you get used to your tiling system as you bring it, and find that we're not finding much to do any combat with, because our combat, we've got very limited actual combat tiles. So we're going to have to exit the area, but you can see how the tiling system actually works. Now for me as a player, it would probably be better for me at this point if I stayed in my fixed deck, because I would have more control over my fighting skills. But each deck you have to get used to how you're actually using it, but that's how the actual decks work, how you can change between your decks, and which deck is the right one for you, or you know which deck is the right one. It's the one that works for you. I wouldn't say there are any right ways or wrong ways to play the game. You just choose your own style of play. So that's about the types of combat decks that are in the game. Now, once you've mastered everything that you can in this area, all you need to do is find one of the exits in the game, and then you can continue on to Soul Town, which is one of your quests. Journey on to Soul Town. I'm just going to show you an exit. There are about 5 exits in the game. We will just run past all of the baddies as best as we can. So we should have enough health to get past them. This is a final area of the game, which if you want to do some serious combat, there are some pretty strong mobs up here for your level of play. But if you were up here and you just wanted to exit, there are various exits around the map. But if you had finished up here, just come into the courtyard area here. If you go to the right, you see a track over here. So let's get yourself to that track. Various different ways. You can see a little arch we're approaching. Now if you go through the arch, you'll enter onto the main map of Novia. Now this is commonly called the Overworld. It used to be the only map in the game. But this is how we would have navigated around the game when we first came into it. Now, we know that we need to go to Soul Town, and we can't see Soul Town anywhere in our vicinity. So, if you hit the M key, you'll bring up a map in the game, which has been developed by Sotamap, which you can go to www.sotamap.com, I believe, and see the same map in the web page form. But if we actually zoom in, the little red arrow is where you are, and we know that we've got to get to a place called Soul Town, which is down here. So if we actually move a bit on the map, you can see yourself move on the map. As you start moving, it does slowly grey out a bit. You can change that in the settings. You can find a road here. If we follow the road to a fork, no, get the bearings right. Yeah, so we cross a bridge here, and just follow the path down, which should come to Soul Town. So we'll follow the path down. Some other players down here, which you could interact with if you wish to do so. Always best to interact with players in the game. Oh, and I nearly went past it. As you can see, you've got Soul Town up here. Now if you don't see the word Soul Town in the game, you just go to your menu system, go to the interface, and then we need to look for a certain thing. We show translated names, location names. If you turn it off, we'll see if you can see it like this. You can't see the word Soul Town. If you click on show translated names, it will then show you the English for that town. Then all we need to do is enter the area so we can continue on our questing. Here we are in Soul Town. If we open up the quest, Journey to Soul Town, it says that we've got to go and tell me again to take a notebook and the observations to Stanley, who's in Soul Town. And I will just take you to Stanley. And then you should be able to pick up on the rest of the walkthrough. Stanley is just up here, the Soul Town Guard. If you click on him, you can start those quests in the game. And if you look in my new player experience of my YouTube channel, you should be able to carry on your questing if you need help. I hope you found these videos helpful and informative. Please do subscribe to the YouTube channel so you know when more of my content comes out. Also, there are over 100 videos there for you to get help from. And thank you for watching.